and I do work with people from all over the country. See, the good thing is you can come all the way out to California to do one of my retreat programs as long as you're not too sick. And I can work with you right here in California, where we have some other excellent alternative cancer treatments out here in California as well. So the truth is that it's important to understand what is the cause of this disease within your subconscious mind, not only to prevent relapse, not only to quickly speed up the healing process, but also so you can learn what the message this cancer has for you. What is its purpose? I can tell you one thing. I am very grateful that I was crippled with rheumatoid arthritis in my late 20s. I am so grateful every day because there were lessons I needed to learn from that disease. That disease brought me a wake-up call to shift my life. And when I listened to its message, when I promised that I was going to turn my life around, then my spirit guides taught me how to heal this arthritic condition. And I have been grateful ever since that this disease basically turned me into the world of alchemy and spiritual healing, which has now been my career for 35 years. And I've also, of course, enjoyed having a very healthy body, but now which frequently happens since I'm a rather crazy mountaineer, when I fall off a cliff or fall down a waterfall, I can actually put my body back together again. If I sprain something or bruise something, I can just put it back together again within a few minutes. This is one of the most exciting things you learn how to do in hypnosis. Is how to fix sprains and eliminate cold symptoms and just how to fix your own body, basically. And that's all described on my website and the information on somatic healing.
Fascinating stuff. I like I said, I'm enthralled with your website. I actually stayed up till like 12:30 last night reading, and I finally said, I've got to get to sleep because I have work in the morning. But, folks, that is how fascinating the website is.
It's a fascinating website. Now, I've got a question for you because I know you're an astrologer and might be able to give you some of our readers an insight to this. What kind of signs or what kind of positioning of planets or houses in a person's zodiac would make them an excellent candidate, do you think, for hypnosis therapy, and specifically the kind of hypnosis that involves journeys into the inner world? Obviously, you want to be looking at your Neptunian and Uranus as well. The dimensions of those planets are going to be very important because they're all about the power of the superconscious and unconscious minds.
Absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. Anything with a heavy Neptunian or Uranic energy will help. You know, usually when we deal with people who have a lot of earth sign in their chart, they're more of your atheists. And, you know, not that I'm putting down any atheists, but they're more about everything has to do with science, and this whole, you know, New Age thing is just not where it's at. And that's because they're victims to their own star. So I would say anybody with a heavy Neptunian, Pisces, Aquarian,
a lot of water in their chart too, right? A lot of water in the chart?
A lot of water and also a lot of air. Water and air are very open to, especially hypnotherapy. That's something they're very open to. So, and you know, just like with disease, anytime you have like someone has a Saturn in a certain house, especially the house of health, they're going to be very prone to having diseases, unfortunately.
And having deep subconscious influences in their lives. If you know what
exactly.
Exactly,
and you know, this reading of the stars kind of doesn't go hand in hand with hypnotherapy, but my own teacher is a hypnotherapist, and he's a board-certified astrologer, and he says that they go hand in hand because, you know, we're working with the subconscious.
And you know, the truth is, if you're doing astrology, you're also dealing with archetypes. Planets like Neptune, Venus, Mars. These are the signs in the inner world of the inner guides that we need to help us transform our lives. One of the guides, for example, that we meet in the inner world is the higher self. Well, that, of course, is the sun to any astrologer, right? Where is your sun located? Your sun is showing you the vision of what your higher self's destiny for you is in this lifetime.
Absolutely. Soul's purpose. That's you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So, of course, I would always love to train astrologers in this type of work that I do, because you could take a look at the client's chart and get some immediate insights into even what type of induction to use and what type of languaging and even what type of guide needs to be contacted. In my inner world, for example, one of my most important guides is the figure of Mars, who dominates my chart, and of course, as you know, is in Sagittarius, and Mars rules Sagittarius. So you can see why in my inner world, the inner warrior is a very important guide for me to accomplish so many things in my life.
Well, yes, fire, very much so. Fire is like I said, fire is the go-getter. Fire is the one that will succeed. And with you having Mars in Sagittarius, the ruling planet for Sagittarius is Jupiter. Jupiter is the Lord of Luck. So anything you touch, David, is going to be spectacular in some ways. What I'm saying is through this hypnotherapy alchemist path, everything you touch, you will succeed as you have. And this is just me going from not knowing your date of birth or a chart or anything.
Oh, of course. And, of course, we're not even going to go into my Venus-Mercury-Saturn conjunction, unless you think my life is too easy.
Well, you know what I'll do? You give me your birthday in an email later, and I will send you a chart, because after looking at your website, you may see me as a future student. I mean, I'm very impressed.
Well, do you really? It would be my pleasure to have you and any other astrologers doing my course, because the insight you've already gained into the archetypes and how they work in the lives of every individual client is going to assist you in understanding and working with clients at the alchemical level. It's no accident that alchemy and astrology have been sister sciences for the last at least 2,000 years.
Absolutely.
And here's the other thing. Of course, I know one of your favorite mottos I hear is your stars are your fate, and you could become the victim of your stars. But how many times do you want to help your clients turn their chart around
all the time,
and utilize the strengths within their chart and overcome the weaknesses? Well, how do you do that except by talking to Mars and talking to Jupiter and sitting down with Saturn and saying, let's find a better way to work with these energies? This is how we take my clients from being the victim of their chart to becoming the creator of their chart and their destiny. And we do this by being conscious of our destiny. And one might easily say, well, gee, don't they say in astrology that people are victims of their stars? Here, my position is, as long as you don't know your astrology chart, as long as you're not exploring your inner planetary realities, you are definitely going to be a victim of your stars. If, however,
I agree,
you start paying attention to your soul's destiny as manifest in your subconscious mind and in your astrology chart, as long as you are become willing to look at what the stars have to teach, you don't have to be the victim anymore.
Absolutely. I was just dealing with an issue yesterday, and it was happening 4 or 5 different conversations on Facebook. Everybody was arguing with one another. People weren't getting information down correctly. And I sat there going, okay, I'm going to go and pull up my software. I ran my software, and I said, okay, Moon's wanting. We're in a wanting phase, and it's in Pisces. Pisces is, subconscious. Pisces is communication. And it was, everything got muddled. Miscommunication happened, and I sat there and I said, I'm not engaging anymore in conversation until this passes, because you don't want to say anything that's going to get worse, So because I had that knowledge of the stars, I was able to sit back and do damage control and say, let's all go to our corners, and we regroup tomorrow. And it worked out fine, because now everybody's at peace, and that's all I ever wanted, was for everyone to be at peace with one another.
I just thought you have some Libra in your chart for sure. That's my sun sign, is a Libra. Well, I suppose y'all want to hear more about illness and less about astrology, but thank you for letting me digress into that for a few moments.
Anytime, my friend.
Well, like I say, I would love to train astrologers in this work, especially if you are finding yourself, as I was, as a professional psychic, frustrated by the fact that you could describe the person's behavioral dilemmas and their core beliefs so precisely, and you want to do something about it. That's where alchemy comes in. That's when, and alchemy is so much faster because you're not just sitting around chit-chatting after spending 6 years going for a PhD in psychology. Heavens to purgatory. Astrologers already have probably far more wisdom than the average PhD in astrology even has. What you have instead are precise technologies to go in there and talk to Mars, talk to Venus, talk to the second house, and get everybody working together in the inner world.
Absolutely. It has to be a find-oil mission.
That's the place of inner resources, and that's often, between the second and the fourth house, is often the place where you get to look at childhood traumas and issues. And yes, we can readily be a victim of that. Negative experiences in our childhood, negative programming. And what we do in alchemy is different. We instead of just going into therapeutic discussion, we transform the memories of the past. We turn the lead into gold by going back and rescuing our clients from the trauma, the abuse, the neglect, the molestations of the past. And where necessary, bringing them new loving parents in the inner world to care for them, to love them. New parents
beautiful.
Now, you see, in the traditional realm of astrology, especially in Indian astrology, if you're familiar with Vedic astrology, the parents would look at the child's chart to see how to raise that child. Here is what the child needs. Here's their personality.
And that's what I do with my children. I do that with both my daughters.
Oh, that's such a blessing.
I know their strengths and their weaknesses, and I know what they're going to be interested in as they're older. And my youngest child is all into crystals and healing, and I think she's a little alchemist or a little psychic in the making.
God, that's exciting. Well, yeah. But now, as an alchemist, you can help your clients, your children, your astrology clients. You can help them to contact the voices in their conference room and in their astrological chart. And you can also go back into the traumas and neglect and hurt that may have, even in past lives, that help build a lot of these negative core beliefs and ruts of feeling and behavior. So we can change those into the most positive dimension. Now, everybody knows, for example, that Scorpio, in its dark side, is no one you even want to date.
Oh, God, no.
The bright side of Scorpio, the eagle,
exactly,
is a true inspiration to the world of romance as well as love and sexuality. Well,
absolutely.
What you need to do is know the tools on how to turn a scorpion into an eagle. And that's going to take alchemical work. You see what I mean? That's not ordinary psychological talking. Will not be effective at this because, after all, we know you can't change a person's chart. Certainly not by just talking about it. What's
very true.
Done is to go in there with the alchemical work and turn that lead into gold. This
yes,
is
Scorpio.
why my work is so effective with cancer. Because you can go back to the memories inside of a cancer, but if you don't change those memories, you're not going to heal that terribly serious disease. Not unless you can change the memories. I'll give you an example. Here's a client who she had a brain tumor that was pressing on the inside of her brain, was causing constant headaches, inoperable, and she was a few months away from death. And she went down a flight of stairs. We have a very special induction I use to access the underlying cause of illness. And as soon as we opened the door into that inner world where her brain tumor lived, she opened that door and she said, "It's private." Now, at that point, what I said was, well, I guess we could just close that door and tiptoe back up these stairs and forget we ever saw that. But I wonder why it is that you have to die of this terrible disease, and he gets away scot-free. Just explain that to me, I said to her, figuring this was probably a sexual abuse incident. That's why she said, it's private. And sure enough, she started screaming, you're right, he should get the cancer. So we had to go back to a scene of some horrific sexual abuse, and there we were able to rescue her inner child, and we symbolized her release of the disease by literally her reaching in with her hands and pulling the tumor out of her brain. And